Hey all, it's Nim or Nimacree if you're feeling professional, and welcome to the bar. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, but kind of in a negative light. That will be the topic of MMOs and one of the problems I see with the MMO genre as a whole. Now, as a little setup here, before we drop the intro and then we get into the meat of the subject, I've played MMOs for a very long time. I've played World of Warcraft, Anarchy Online, Ultima Online, EVE Online, Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, which right now I'm rather enamored with. So let's talk about an issue that actually runs through the entire MMO industry. Stand by for Nimpact in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so MMO feedback. Now let's get started. I decided to advance the dungeon run that I had to the first boss because of the fact that it was just easier to do that. You don't need to see all the ads in between. So here we see Lugai. Now, it's a boss. It's got a lot of health. How do we take it down? Okay, well, as a monk, punch, 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 punch. As gunbreaker, swing, 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 swing. Black mage, burn, ice, lightning, stabby, shooty, whatever you need to do. You take the boss down. Now, bosses have mechanics. Mechanics need to be executed. Like we're about to see right here. That yellow arrow of death means stack, 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 stack. But what if you don't know? Okay, well, you can rely on the players to tell you. Sometimes they will, oftentimes with a snark, and can be a little rough. But let's say you want something a little more neutral. The game could tell you when you die. You're like, hey, don't forget to stack on the yellow arrow when it happens. That way, you see it. You get feedback. When you get feedback, you get more information to act on, and when you have more information to act on, you increase the chances of success. Because again, let's say I'll use an example. So I killed Titania EX a little while ago, and I did not do great DPS-wise. I didn't know that because I don't have a meter or anything that can do that. It would be nice, Square Enix, if you let us have meters. But I was able through some calculations and things to figure some stuff out, and it found out like, oh man, I'm doing my opener all wrong. And had I not had the thought to go check to see if I'm doing my opener all wrong, I would have labored under the apprehension that, oh yeah, I'm okay. I'm probably not great, but I'm okay. I'm not a drag. And here's the thing. The reason I think like that is because I want to be a really good player. I want to be above average. I want to be in the top, the top ranks, the savage raids. I want to clear the stuff. Not everybody's like that. So the more that we can keep them on the platform, right? The more that we can keep them in the game and have the game tell you, like, hey man, when there's a group of 3 people, why don't you use your AoE abilities? Because those AoE abilities at 3 targets are going to do more damage than your single target abilities. So, and that means that the enemies will fall faster. And you can get through checks, you don't have to be so rough on the heels. And I think that's a good idea. Also, tell me when I'm performing suboptimally. Like, oh, did you know that at your current skill level, or your current skill speed level, you can actually fit 2 true strikes in for every time you would apply the Twin Snakes buff? A lot of this can be handled with add-ons. Sadly, Square Enix does not allow for add-ons. You may see some people with add-ons. Just keep that to yourself. I don't have any personally. Just keep that to yourself, because there are some people who are just trying to make sure that bosses can be done, because to me it's weird to have DPS checks in a game that you can't see. You could potentially be doing very little damage and have no chance of doing the DPS check. Oh, looks like our heal's DC'd and we all died. Anyways, you could have a DPS check that you have no chance of getting, but you'll never know. So I'm thinking to myself, why not, as a thought, just let us either have add-ons, which would solve the problem, because people could just, when there's a need, it could be filled. And I know the reason why they don't want add-ons. They're going to say, like, oh, it could be used for bullying or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. I've worked with a DPS meter for years. And I've never been bullied. I mean, some people may be like, damn, you need to get better. Okay. Correct. I need to get better. If I'm not rank 1, I want to get better. You got me. Not everybody thinks that way, and I understand. More accurately, though, if you allow add-ons on PC, that doesn't allow for parity with console. And this MMO has crossplay between the PlayStation 4 and the PC. So we want to make sure that they have parity, and so to have one tool available and one not, outside of something cosmetic, which is the gameplay looking nicer on a higher end PC than a PlayStation 4. That would divide the community, and then you could actually have some elitism where it's like, well, do you have your add-ons? Do you have your boss mod? Do you have your DPS meter? Do you have your rotational assist? So I get that, but Square could put those in as plugins. Another thing is there's an area in the game called Stone Sky Sea, right? And it's a series of challenges that you fight, and if you overcome them, you have enough DPS to kill the boss. Why not incorporate all the feedback mechanics there? You're like, oh, hey, is my opener working? Well, you're not quite there. Try, instead of doing form shift ×3 and then demolish and perfect balance, why don't you instead try X, Y, Z, and give us, you don't have to hold our hand the entire time. You could say, maybe do a one-step correction like you do with the quests, where if I go to pick up a quest and it's got a red key icon on it, that means it's locked and I can't do it. Can't do it yet. So since I can't do it yet, it'll tell me, oh, you need to be Disciple of War Magic level 80, or you need to be Disciple of Hand level 60, or Goldsmith, 40. It gives me the solution within one step. And I don't mean like, oh, this, boom, solves the problem. It's like, no. This is the first thing you need to do in order to unlock it. And then let's say it has more than one requirement. Let's say I need to be, Disciple of the Hand, right? Okay, so I changed my crafting class. Boom. All right, I'm a goldsmith now. Got my goldsmith hammer and my grinding wheel. And it's still locked. It may say, hey, you need to do X, Y, Z. And then if it's still locked after that, it'll keep telling me, do X. Do X. If you don't do X, it's a problem. And I'm like, okay. And the problem is that you never get access to it. And here we see, this is where the game can tell me, again, hey, you're getting your tank, as a tank, group them up. Get them into this little death ball, by the way. It's, thanks to Preach for that term, just letting him know. Gotta show respect where respect is due. And this death ball will allow me to use all of my AoE abilities more effectively. I can hit everybody with it, so enemies drop down, we're working together. Not everybody knows this, and again, you might be like, man, this is old hat, I know what's going on. And if you do, congratulations, the video is not for you. But I appreciate you watching, so thank you. Now, there's another thing that's brought up, and it's by a much bigger streamer than myself, by the name of Asmongold. Now, Asmongold, a while ago, he did a video in which he was drawing a line of difficulty. And it was, fairly low to middle, middling, got a little higher. And then there was this wall. And a big wall. And what that was is that represented from pretty much guaranteed success content to non-guaranteed success content. And the idea that the game wasn't going to let you win anymore. And I say let you win, obviously you fought, but there's the margin of victory was very, very wide. Here our heals DC'd again, which can be honest with you, not a bad healer, don't get me wrong, everybody has a stable internet connection, so it happens. Anyways, so that's where I want the feedback system to come in. Like, hey, you need to work, you need to master this before you can come in Savage Raids, or you need to master this X task. You need to master your basic rotation before you can queue for normal raids, or before you can do your EX primals, which are basically 8-person one boss instance. Think about they're harder versions of trials, essentially. They're extreme. Just in game call me EX. It's just easier. Few people are that extreme. All right. Now we're getting ready to head down to the second boss, as you can see here. Now I do get clipped a couple of times by a Vuln stack, so you'll see that happen in there. And of course, some things you're like, man, do you really want everything spelled out so explicitly? Yes and no. For a brand new player, you better believe it. I want everything spelled out when there's a failure. And by failure, I mean like you're dead. Or there's a party wipe. Not like, oh, you got hit, wall of text that you have to read now. Like, there, I got hit. Okay, so I know that's bad. I also want to give the ability for it to be toggled off. Because again, let's say you're a rank 1 awesome player. You don't need that. You know what's going on. Or let's say you're, all the way down there at the bottom and you don't care. You're like, I just got through the story. I got carried. I don't care. I'm just here to do crafting and farm and whatever. And I'll do the hard content now in an expansion and just breeze through it. Okay. Hey, more power to you. At that point, again, you can turn it off. But I want it to be toggleable because what happens if they make huge changes? You're like, oh, what happened to my monk? What happened to my machinist? What happened to my bard? I have no idea. Apparently nothing happened to bard other than I think using a Foe's Embrace in Shadowbringers. But I don't play a bard. I just had somebody tell me that. Yeah. So as you can see, I have a stack there that we're trying to avoid, and we're killing the governor. We're doing everything we can there. All right, we're back. Now, we've talked about feedback, the idea of tell me when I'm playing suboptimally. Give me the option to turn it off or on. Tell me about mechanics when we wipe, so that I can have some idea. And, if you want to not hold it in your hands entirely, one-step solutions. Hey, watch out for being X's Omega Death Beam. It fires horizontally from its face. Oh, okay. Well, if we know that it fires horizontally from its face, and there's a little target indicator on the bottom of the ground, if I'm behind it, when it goes off, not going to get hit by the Omega Death Beam. Now, I might get hit by something else, but the Omega Death Beam, good. Handled. Smooth. Anyways, what we also want to worry about is we want to create this content in a way that is self-sustaining and helpful. How do we do that? We create leaderboards. We take, out of 100% optimal performance in a dungeon, a raid, an alliance raid, a PvP instance, doesn't matter. 100% performance, create leaderboards in which you are ranked as a percentage based. We do it just like logs, and so you can do one for mechanics, you can do one for damage, you can do one for healing, and you can do one for damage mitigated for our tank friends who really want to just mitigate stuff. Who are like, you know what, I took that, didn't happen. Your heals are like, you'll live, wave the wand and call on nature, and DPS is being like, hey, look at that thing. You're gonna see daylight through its chest. And that's how that goes. By doing that, you create scalable content, even with the new dungeons, and you can put achievements, mounts, everything there. And people may be like, oh, well, you can be trolled. What if you have an intentionally bad group? Just use pre-made groups. Because if you like person Y, because person Y does great heals and brings cookies, and you don't like person X because person X will always DC intentionally to troll you, well, don't bring person X to the run you're trying to place on the leaderboard. Just bring person Y, and you're done. Just as you have your free company mates, you have your friends, play with them. It's pretty simple. Anyways, guys, this has been an idea of mine for MMO feedback, because, again, I'm concerned with the entire health of the genre. So I'm curious, tell me in the comments below what you think. And as you know, I do stream on Twitch. You might have seen it up there. We have, of course, Saturday, Sunday from 2 p.m. to Eastern Standard Time to whenever. And the Monday and Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to roughly 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This has been Nim. I'm your bartender. Enjoy your drinks and have a pleasant day.